for the tie. Off the rim, and it's over. This miracle run continues.
Seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
At midcourt, extra pass.
And again.
And all of a sudden, they were best free throw shooter. Five in the stretch.
The lob, and that will do it. Do you believe it? For just the second time ever.
Hello and welcome back to Minardi Maddness. Just to start, I did not want to talk about last week. My bracket was just completely torn up. Making bold moves did not turn out working at all. Reed's bracket that he showed got pretty messed up too, although Marquette does look pretty good. I'm gonna get to the games and where it all went wrong, but I basically just stopped looking at the bracket after night one. I'm just really excited to watch Duke. Hopefully they make a run. Screw everything I said about the stats and being ready for next year. They look great in the round of 32 against JMU, and I'm really excited to see if they can make a run. Today, though, I'm just going to cover a bunch of different things, a bunch of games, and big things that happened in the first two rounds, so let's get right into it. Near the beginning of the first day, BYU took on Duquesne, and this was just the start of everything going wrong for me. Duquesne got off to a really hot start in this one. BYU, on the other hand, struggled to score, and BYU kind of crept back up on them throughout the first game, keeping it within 10 points, But if I'm being honest, BYU did not look good at all in this game, and it looked like really sloppy basketball. Tons of missed layups, poor execution. The only guy who really looked like he wanted it was Jackson Robinson, and he had himself a great game, 25 points. Duquesne, on the other hand, looked pretty good. Their guards looked explosive. They were hitting tough shots left and right. Overall, just a little disappointed that BYU didn't take this one. They really did have some potential, I think. We saw it through the beginning of the season. They beat a lot of tough teams, but their season did have to come to a close after this one. Moving on, Creighton has looked pretty good throughout the first two rounds of the tournament. A great win against Akron, and then one that almost went bad against the Oregon Ducks. They did come up with a win, though, in double OT. I think Oregon was an Elite Eight Final Four team, though. They fought really hard. They played good against a great team, so no shame for them. I think they should be proud and look for more next season. Just a quick cover some things from the game. Oregon had 60 of their 73 points that they scored came from Kuznard and Dante. Nafali Dante had 20 boards in this game. And then Kuznard also is just so tough, 32 points. They were bound to lose this game if no one else could score but those two. So they just ran out of gas at the end, and basically all the scoring coming from them. Guys like Brennan Rigsby and Kwame Adams played 35-plus minutes, didn't even touch a point. Overall, this is just a close game throughout, though. Fast-forwarding to the end of the second half, Creighton was down 2 with their season on the line, and Baylor Shireman came up clutch, just like all season, with the 2 to force overtime last second. The first overtime was pretty evenly fought. Until the second, Creighton just took over. Guys like Steven Ashworth, Ryan Kalkbrenner came in huge. Those 2 threes at the beginning of overtime put them up 6. And I think from there on out, Oregon was just out of gas. Huge impact made by Ashworth, though. 21 points. Kalkbrenner with 19 and 14 rebounds to send the Blue Jays to the Sweet 16. Moving on, I think another team who looks very good is Illinois. Obviously, they haven't had too much of a hard matchup yet. They played 14-seed Morehead State and 11-seed Duquesne, but they played great in the 2 games that they had so far. Duquesne has also been hot to end their season, so pretty good job for Illinois, also coming off the Big Ten tournament. They're a hot team. Terrence Shannon also is just flat out doing it. 26 points against Morehead State and then 30 against Duquesne. We also saw Marcus Domask recording a triple-double against Morehead State. So Illinois overall, I think, looks great. They have a tough matchup now against Iowa State in the Sweet 16, so that will definitely look interesting. Iowa State also a pretty good team, pretty hot, coming off a Big 12 championship, and playing pretty well in the first round and on Saturday against Wazoo. This should be a great matchup. I think it's basically one of the best offenses against one of the best defenses. Next up, I want to talk about the Dayton-Nevada game. Another one that just really screwed me over. I just made so many wrong picks. It was really awful. Anyways, Nevada ended up losing this one in a choke job. They blew a 17-point lead to Dayton, and Gerard Lucas hit a 3 to put them up 56-19 56-39 with 7 minutes left, and then a timeout gets called. All of a sudden, Nevada just can't score anymore. Dayton goes on a 17-0 run, ties it at 56, and Nevada finally scores their 2 points again. So at this point, it was only fitting that Dayton would come away with a win after a 17-0 run like that. Nate Santos hit 2 free throws, putting them up 63-60 with 15 seconds left, and the score stayed that way with Dayton pulling off the big comeback win. Like I said, I think Nevada could have done something more in this tournament, but just a choke job. Moving on, though, now what good would it be if I didn't talk about Jack Golke and the Oakland Golden Grizzlies? To start out, they pulled out a big upset win against Kentucky. And before I even talk about Oakland, I want to talk about the recent Kentucky struggles. It's been very frequent for the past 2 years. They just bring in a ton of talent, but they can't do anything in the tournament with it. And now with them leaving the tournament so early year after year, Coach Calipari is really getting questioned a lot. And, I think it is something to consider for sure. Is it a coaching problem or is it something else? Many think that it is coaching, and I can very much see where that's coming from. But he brings in stacked recruiting classes every year and can't make a deep run. So, on the other hand, Kentucky has been proven to be very good at developing college players into great NBA players. So the NBA development is there. But at some point, I think Kentucky has to consider the issue, because at the end of the day, the college isn't getting anything for developing NBA stars. They're trying to bring in championships. So it was announced, though, that Coach Calipari will return next year. I guess we'll just see what Kentucky's future looks like, but definitely something to take into consideration. But back to this great game, though, that we saw. I mean, truly just so entertaining to watch. Obviously, Jack Golke was the center of attention. 10 3-pointers in an NCAA tournament game, finishing with 32. And when you look at this guy's shot chart from the season, it's amazing. 347 3-point attempts and only 8 2-point attempts. I don't even know how that's possible. But anyways, another guy who stood out for Oakland was Trey Townsend. A very skilled player, had 17 points, 12 boards against Kentucky, and then 30 points and 13 rebounds against NC State. Unfortunately for Oakland, their season did come to an end here, but a great upset win, one that will be remembered without a doubt. Speaking about NC State, I would like to talk about them now. They've been, of course, scorching hot, but that will be right after this short break, along with some other teams and matchups. Welcome back. Going to where we left off, NC State has made their way to the Sweet 16, and really, what a run for the Wolfpack. Of course, they had to win 5 games in 5 days to even make the tournament, and then they continued this win streak with another 2 wins in the first 2 rounds. But let's take a look at these 2 matchups. So against Texas Tech and Oakland too, DJ Burns has been sort of their main guy. He's just really tough. He uses his size so well. And he also just has great touch around the rim. Him combined with guys like Diarra and DJ Horn, along with the rest of these guys as well, they just look unstoppable right now, to be honest. And here are some stats from the game. DJ Burn, 16 points against Texas Tech, then 24 points with 11 rebounds in the Oakland game. Overall, just a great run from NC State so far. They look amazing. Really flipping the switch at the end of the season. And, maybe they'll be able to keep the run going against Marquette. Next up, I think a notable team for me is definitely Gonzaga. Near the beginning of the season, they didn't really look good at all, but they put it together and they really look like a contender. They easily breezed by McNeese State, and then they continued to beat Kansas the next round by 20. They have a ton of great pieces. This is now their 9th consecutive Sweet 16 appearance, but there's definitely a few guys who stand out in particular to me. First off, Ryan Nemhard. he's really able to push the ball up the floor in transition, and he's great at creating open shots for guys. He only recorded 5 points and 5 assists in the game against Kansas, so not too much when you're looking at stats, but he's a huge impact maker without a doubt. And then other guys like Anton Winston and Graham Ike really impressed me. Watson recorded 21 points, Ike with 15 and 9 boards. And then another guy really standing out against Kansas was Ben Gregg. I mean, you could see if you were watching, he was really locked in. The intensity was there, and you could just see how much he wanted it. Nice game for him, 15 points, 9 rebounds, but he really wants to make a run in this thing, and I think the rest of Gonzaga definitely does too. Speaking about Kansas, on the other hand, I don't even think they should have gotten to the second round to begin with. Obviously, they are having some challenges with their leading scorer and McCullough being out, and Bill Self, he's not too confident in his team. He said that he's been thinking about next year already, but when I'm saying that they shouldn't have made the second round, what I think is that Samford really just got robbed. I don't know if you saw the play, but that block at the end of the game in round 1 was completely clean, not a foul at all. That really hurt my soul, seeing that be called a foul. And I think, this maybe could lead to being able to rewatch foul calls in the future. But without a doubt, I think Samford was robbed. Props to them, though. A great season and putting up a good fight against a good team. But, man, that's got to hurt. All right, now just a few more things I want to talk about. First is Purdue. And so far, they've definitely proved me wrong, completely creaming Utah State to put the finishing touch on the destruction of my bracket. But no joke, I seriously think that they're a much better team than last year. But not only Zach Edey, but the supporting cast that he has around him. Obviously, Zach Edey continues to be a huge impact, recording crazy stats. 30 points, 21 rebounds in the first game against Grambling State, and then 23 points and 14 rebounds against Utah State. They should have what will be a very entertaining matchup against Gonzaga, who I also said is on a roll. So that'll be fun to see. And then now what I really want to get to is Duke. Really made me happy watching them play against JMU. Made up for my awful bracket, but against JMU, they just looked unguardable. The chemistry between Jared McCain and Tyrese Proctor was really great to see. They were reading each other throughout the game and setting each other up for good shots. But, of course, Jared McCain had himself a historical game. 30 points, 8 threes on an amazing shooting day. To be honest, he really just looked like he couldn't miss the whole game. But definitely a big impact from guys like Filipowski and Roach, too. Filipowski, of course, a threat with his size, and then Roach left the game early after messing up his hand and coming back to finish with 15. So Duke definitely looking really good. I think they have a chance to take the one against Houston, and definitely if they play the way they played against JMU. And then just real quick, forget about me and a ton of other people saying the ACC is a weaker conference. They've dominated 8-1 in the tournament overall. 2 wins from Clemson too. I know I haven't talked about Clemson much, but great wins against Baylor and New Mexico. I think tournament time, the ACC always produces the best team. Now last, just to wrap it up, I was speaking about Houston moments ago, and I just want to touch up on their last matchup against Texas A&M before I end this. What a thriller that game was. This game was sent into overtime to finish up the round of 32, and it was relatively close the whole game. A&M showed that they were a tournament team at the end of the day, and then Garcia hit that tough three-pointer at the buzzer off the inbound and sent it to overtime. What a shot. I have no idea how he hit that. Purely clutch, but unfortunately, in the end, it wouldn't end up leading to a win. So Houston takes it in a very good game. I think A&M fans were looking for a better performance from Wade Taylor. Did drop 21 points, but off of 5 from 26 from shooting. But with that being said, that's going to do it for this week. Some round 2 coverage, from round 1 and 2 coverage, and a ton of basketball to talk about. Thanks again for tuning in this week. Stay tuned for next week. A lot more basketball coming.